Welcome back, friends, to APAC North. It's time for our match of the day. Damwon Kia versus Cyclops Athlete Gaming is about to begin. And we got to set up this matchup properly here, so there's a lot to dig through. That's the perfect timing for us to join us here on the analyst desk. I'm Milos the Medic, your host of the show. With me are Fresh and Demo. And let's just quickly introduce the teams, because at this point, if you're an APAC watcher, you know who these teams are. Damwon Kia, Fresh.
Damwon Kia, team of juggernauts, individual players that can all pop off and have popped off internationally, domestically. They are probably the team to beat in this region over the last year.
CAG.
Just rats. Just that's the best way. They are, in my opinion, one of the worst teams I think you would ever want to play against, just because they are a wild card. You have no idea what they're going to do. And they can do anything. Like, literally, they can do anything.
And these teams have faced off against one another 1,000,001 times, and we actually have the history of it all. There's the matchup history. It's currently 50-50.
It literally is 50-50, not just on fixtures, where you can see that CAG have got 3 fixtures back end of 2021 and that stage 1 this year in the playoffs, but also in maps as well across the 6 fixtures that they've played. It is literally 50-50. 4 to 4 maps, 3 to 3 in the fixtures. It's literally 50-50 between these two teams.
How much to say about winning the best of 3, though? That's another thing you have to look at. The best of 3 won by CAG. But obviously, there's going to be players that we have to look at as well, Milos. These are, you know, the 2 big hitters that we've seen from last week. Rin stepping up. A lot of questions about Rin. Proved everyone wrong. And then Blackray, as consistent as ever.
I think we see, look at these 2 players, and obviously this is EPS score, so it's, you know, average is 100. That is an average player in this league. These players are consistently at average or just above it, doing just above what they need to do. Obviously, we see Rin has his ups and downs. Blackray less so in terms of less erratic ups and downs, but both absolutely quality players. And if you could pick a player to watch from each team, we could have gone for others as well. Yeah. But Rin and Blackray, especially.
Rin last week, so I have to.
Rin last week was so good, and Blackray always is so good for his team.
There you go. And what if we talked about strategy and how things actually pull in the game itself? Do we have something for it too?
We do, and it's a little trip down memory lane as well, because we have a bit of history. Obviously, we're going to be looking at CAG, which is naturally the team that I immediately go to in this matchup, just because I love CAG so much. But what we're looking at is actually a clip from SI21. This is back whenever the meta was very different. Shield meta, Wamai, Jaeger, the utility burn. That was where we're at. And this is just going to showcase that even back then, Cyclops are still playing the exact same way, but the difference is that this meta is so much better for them in the current format. And it's just going to showcase that even from behind, if Cyclops want to go for something, if they see an opportunity, everyone will just commit to it and everyone will go for it. So it's just a blatant clip off, minute 50 to go, and immediately a nade kill comes in and everyone floods. It just showcases that you're never safe with CAG. You have no idea what they're going to do. Like, look at this. If you're hyper in this situation, you've just walked into the site, you have no idea what's happening, and all of a sudden there's just a guy behind the bomb chassis. Like, how's he gotten in there? How is he there? So it just showcases that CAG, they're in that space where they can just do anything and they'll pop off. And then what we're going to compare that to is literally what they done last week. A very similar story where you're situating CAG in this kind of element where there's not a lot happening for them. You can see they're a man down, and then out of nowhere, they're just going to execute as this kind of like this 4-man pincer, one coming up from white, one guy jumping in double window, one guy in the kids window, one guy lurking about the map, and it works so well where Kai can just hit you out of nowhere, like a Ying Glaz execute as well. This is not from 2021. This is from last week. This is the difference. CAG are just blatantly playing the exact same way. They haven't changed anything, but you can see how much better the meta is going to suit them, because now it's really flexible. CAG can bring a varied amount of operators, from Monty to Ying to Glaz to Gridlock, everything. They can bring it. So yeah, this team is one not only in domestic success, but I think also one that you have to respect going into international success.
Thank you very much, Demo.
One of the things that I saw in that very first clip, because it was all the way back in SI21, was Goyo, where Goyo still had the shields.
Yep.
And if CAG can do that in that kind of meta, imagine this meta where you can just do what you want and you can opportunity spot and you can just go for it and it works and it's what should be done.
And more importantly, it was his first SI.
That's true.
What, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
More importantly, there you go. It was his first SI in Paris. It was a beautiful time, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a random one, wasn't it? What me and Ollie just rocked up. Yeah, go on.
Bit of an SI.
CAG.
We kind of all do that, though, if you count for it. But what about our map for this series of Damwon and CAG? This is the fight for the top 2 here, because even though this game will not determine who's in the top 2 positions at the end of the stage, it might as well, because of how tough these two squads are, taking a loss today or going to overtime is going to really hurt both of these teams. Chalet is the one we'll go to, and Damwon Kia will take out Bank. They're starting off on the defense. That ties back into the illustration you were just doing, and it fits what you were talking about with the Goyo.
Yeah, KAG are gonna be unleashed on the attack here, and I think the thing is about Chalet, just in the map in particular, is I didn't necessarily look at preference for these two teams because they play a lot of maps, both of them.
Yeah.
So you can generally go anywhere. I looked at the last maps that they've played: Skyscraper, Bang, Skyscraper, Theme Park, Villa, Clubhouse, Oregon. And now they're going to Chalet. They literally just want to play each other on every single map that they can, and they're comfortable. Basically, they've both got 8 or 9 map pulls now. So
yeah. But both teams are international, dominant teams. Whenever you're that level, you need to be ready for everything. You're not kind of run around still trying to figure out what you're doing. These teams know exactly what they're doing. They have their game plans. They have everything ready to go. Chalet has kind of turned into a very flexible map. We're seeing even hard breachers not even having an interest anymore. We're seeing literally teams just running into the bomb site. What did I show over there? KAG running into the bomb site. So
on Chalet in 2021.
Exactly. I think Damwon Kia, they're under pressure. They're the team that needs to make sure that KAG get away with nothing today.
Ooh, there's a lot of pressure on them. And you know what? This time, I won't ask you who do you think is going to win it, because it might as well be a coin toss. It already is 50-50 win rate for both of these teams. A coin toss, yes. It's very funny. Thank you so much, Fresh and Demo. We're going to toss it then to our casters. Happenem. Take it through it.
Thank you very much, Milos. And yes, we're going to have a game of which team, like one team has been perfecting it for the last 2 years, and with the other team having made some recent changes, or Yas, of course, has been benched and PGH has come in. So it's going to be good to see how these two will be shaping up on Chalet. Said it before, KAG should have a field day on the attack. Guess what? They're starting off on the attack as well. So 52% of you believe in Damwon Kia. Overall, I think they have a lot of qualities on that team, but I do think this current meta does favor KAG quite a bit.
It's one of them old-fashioned 6-pointers.
It is. It definitely is. Because these two teams, together with Sandbox, those are the teams that are consistently fighting for the top 3. However, only the top 2 will get a major spot. And taking down 3 points here from your opponent, that is going to be putting a big difference up until the end of the scoreboard at Playday 7. So it is one of those 6-point games, and it will matter quite a bit. As Nut gets banned out first by Damwon Kia. Good luck, sir, coming out as well.
It's good energy. We'll see if it continues
Yeah.
throughout the restriction onto Nomad. Again, I know they sort of highlighted what Cyclops can do on this map. Damwon Kia, in their previous iteration, in the iteration that we've seen stumble compared to the domination that they had, for some was predicted the similar sort of problems to BDS, in that it's not that they got repetitive, but they were no longer surprising. Teams were prepared for them. There is no team more surprising than Cyclops.
That's the thing about Cyclops, that they're consistently surprising. Every round is different.
Every round is different.
You cannot prepare for this team. All you can prepare for is be ready to face all your nightmares in Siege, because they'll be tossing them all at you. May it be a Glass Ying combination execute, or a Lion Dokkaebi Jackal Roam clear. They literally play every single game of Siege there is, but hyper aggressive. And as they start off on the attack here, the Ying for now to be brought out. It is the top floor eventually that we will see. Repicks, of course, are a thing. Quickly want to harp onto the Azami ban that we've seen. I was going to say the no map stops them from truly being stopped by a flank watch. That means someone needs to be actively on that. Yep. When they're on the defense themselves. Azami, to some extent on the defense, is going to be locking off lines of sight. It's going to be making sites into mazes. Suddenly it's different angles you need to be prepared for. And Cyclops just doesn't want to deal with that. They just want to run in and gun. That's what they want to go for. They just want to take that side, have a good time, and see what they can do. Banning the Azami is going to be allowing them a lot more freedom in their attacks.
Now, the restriction of the alibi as well, I mean, fair enough. Cyclops know how to run that operator. It's a consistent pick, and it's a consistent problem. They'll just try and cause problems as alibi running around the map itself. But the approach is starting with Cyclops being the lead in a couple of peppered shots towards the box by Library, but nobody's currently at home ready to read. So they'll just keep themselves tucked a little bit further away. The safety round on the corner on the far side. A steady bit of intel here from DK. And steady bit of death there from Kag. Blackray wins the first fight, swung just into the engagement around the West Main approach. They're underneath the hatch now with a couple of grenades. They could try and cause some problems, throwing them up towards the soft floor if they wanted to. Instead, drops the camera, gives themselves some awareness and a very quick take of territory that's often very contested.
Yeah, that bottom floor now under control, and that means grenades could be coming in from underneath. There's only 2 though. Blackray will be carrying them. And they're just waiting for some information, for some pings. And this is going to be some good information. That's the grenade coming through, but he injures himself instead. As he cooked it a little bit too long, it left his hand, instantly exploded in his face. Luckily, does not get taken out there. He now has to wait for a teammate to come for the pickup. That is going to be costing some time. And only 1 grenade left, and now you definitely cannot make any mistakes anymore.
You can see he's
afraid
nervous.
as well. It's like
He's nervous about it. I mean, that's just Kag, though. They're their own worst enemies in the grandest scheme of things. Nothing more Kag than getting the opener and then almost being the close on yourself. Second play with the grenade. It's going to bounce itself around towards the bulletproof instead. And there's PJH, finds Suzu C in the meantime. Has some of the cover across the top of the stair set. The kit's now cold. They've been able to get the recollection here. Blackray doesn't have much health to try and push further. The bullets over the bow of the face, and PJH is going to get himself closer and closer, caught out on drone. It's Rin under a bit of pressure here from Iron Gator on the side of Piano Window. They want to just creep themselves up towards the heart, and they've been able to make it happen. Just looked over. A body Blackray, he's crept his way through, didn't take the engagement. The Candelas are about to potentially roll here through on the cover. There's the call, there's the attention. Do they know Blackray's as close as he is? He doesn't have the health to truly go for a long engagement here. It's got to be with a bit of surprise, but as the kit gets transferred over, there's a Frost Mat. He just breezes on past, tucked in onto the corner, hoping for the rotate catch. Does he hear the audio? Surely he does, but who is truly aware of who? It's going to be a very important first engagement. Gatorado wins it out and goes for the plant. In the meantime, took the sight and the kit, the covers from Blackray. There's the swing round. There's a catch. There's Katsang gone. There's a post plant and a man outside the site. The final fight comes across, and Kag just swung and took PGH in the site itself.
kind of tame, you know, this round compared to what we normally see from Kag. It was quite well thought through. They got that bottom floor control, slowly starting to creep themselves around, taking that free space, PGH being the only problem they had to face. And they did that well. They just took him out, went for the plant instantly. They had Blackray in that position where he was flank watch. They had to walk past him if they wanted to contest that planter. So he was in a perfect position, even with 20 HP, to find those couple final kills. Cyclops, they get there very first. And then when Kia decide to rotate down towards Bar and Gaming. Pantry, important here to hold on to. It's a area on the map, the supply line, also called, that will be looking directly into the bar, will be looking directly into games, and the top floor control of Library is often playing into that as well, because some verticality can definitely be achieved to get that under control. Now, we do not see a Maverick. Don't see any Heart Breach inside of Cyclops. So they'll not be trying to open up that wall. And of course, if you look at this side, you don't really need Heart Breach. The only worry you might have is from the mezzanine wall into the library, but you can truly put up pressure from outside on that balcony to get a bit library at the same time, and you'll be forcing those players out. You do not need to open it up. Just get some well-placed grenades or Retiros maybe even in that position.
I mean, maybe Kag don't like it because it gives the game away. How are they supposed to sneak into sight if they're making noise, you know?
True.
Like that was just such a deep dive through. Damon Kia, not quite awake really towards the approach there of Kag in that first round. The pressure, a very quick take on a bulletproof that's pretty par for the course at this point. It saves the risk of having to send a Twitch drone up there instead, as is often seen on the other side. They're looking for control over the potential of a Westmen take. They've got the eyes onto Woogieman. He's going to try and be that sort of counter, but you can see a steady approach coming through potentially. On the opposite side, it's Blackray that wants to have a bit of engagement. Anderson's calling the pings and the player. He's more than happy to watch that single window as Katsang suffers as that connecting player. The roll of the blinds, the movement from behind. They've gone through the drone hole. Woogieman cannot stick around for the fight. There's the call. There's Katsang with the cover, but there's Blackray moving in. They've taken control of the room.
One gut use of the Candela there to take some control. No kills coming through just yet, but that's about to change. Aegator will find the first. BlackRay now has this control of the dining area as well. So Cyclops, they've taken a majority of this first floor, but the actual site. Top floor though, nothing much going on there. So need to be a bit careful of potential flanks to come through. They do have flying drones set up. So if someone is watching that, they should be fine.
It was fantastically taken there by Cyclops. They knew where they wanted to put the pressure, and they made sure they had a backline to try and capitalize on the kill. Did half the damage to one and took out the second. Now they can see if they can try and isolate the top floor. A minute 20, plenty of time to start the pressure and the ingress with the control that they've got. Elsewhere, it's West Main that's fallen, as I said, into their control at this point, but the site, as you said, is on the other side of the floor. The zap onto Wookie Man, just to sort of say hello.
Keep them occupied.
Keep them occupied, keep them paying attention as the fight comes around onto the swing. To the side of Piano, a bit of width here for the Ying.
Yeah, so they want to get that verticality first, so after that they can just start hammering down onto the side, not having to worry about anything from above. As the Reteros are starting to come in, is just to clear out anybody in the top of the fireplace. Now they have seen Rin there. The shield will be taken out on blue. That's an important one. You should see that ADS on that win, though. If they wanted to go for grenades, probably wouldn't have lacked.
Candelas start to pop off. They've made their way across the swing. There's nobody behind the pillar currently, but PGH is going for a rotate up from deep underneath. They're looking for the fight onto the site itself. There's a take, though, close in on the box. Rin with one, looks for the second, but there isn't quite the support structure that they need. There it is. A little late, but it shows up all the same. But look at the timer, 15 seconds. They're still knocking on the door of the site itself, and PGH is still playing that swing position here on the side of Fireplace. He can get a freebie, but he doesn't quite get the connection. It's BlackRay for 1 and 2 over the back line, leaving just Coded inside, but not for very long. And Cyclops swarm the site.
PGH, honestly, in the perfect position to stop that from getting out of hand. If he was able to find a kill to BlackRay, that would have been the round for Damwon. There was no time left on the clock. It would have been a 3v2, something like that in that situation. But BlackRay too quick on that flick and the trigger, finding a triple kill there with the ARX. It's a small magazine, a quick reload in between, and 2-0 now for Cyclops. As they approached it quite methodically. They took some small control. They realized someone wasn't dining in the kitchen. Just drone him out. Wait until he gets a bit too far back. He's sending that Candela. He's sending the player right afterwards. They will be forced to fall back. You pick up a kill on the back of it as well. And after that, you have that lot of control. You have the extra time. You can start working on that top floor control. It's exactly what they did. The only thing they did not take account of was PGH. And luckily it was covered off by BlackRay.
I mean, BlackRay 2 rounds, 6 kills.
Yeah, so he's doing very well right now. he's definitely carrying force in Cyclops.
But you look at the side of Damwon, 2 rounds, 2 kills. It's really been a struggle as the opener here. And okay, you're on Chalet. The attackers are generally meant to get a bit of a lead in here, but it's just this across-the-board gun skill from Cyclops. And we always talk about them being their own worst enemies. We talk about them being a team that has the capabilities of putting pressure on the best teams in the world and being amongst them, but also they have Cyclops games where they do Cyclops things.
I mean, BlackRay did just as much damage to him than 50% of the Damwon players did to Cyclops, right? Like, he almost killed himself with a grenade. So it's
he did.
Just imagine if he did. Completely different games that we talked about.
Quick break onto the top of box. The hard destruction necessary for the control across the top there. Just getting that stretch of control. You sort of get the two-story, the two factors here. The push back across the bedroom and try and potentially plant behind the long desk if that's the push you want to go for, but they're making sure that they have options open and available. The pressure might come through here onto Trophy as well. They've got some angles and ideas, and Rin on the top floor is looking for a bit of an extension and a fight there, but doesn't want to be caught out by a very quick swing as CZC has an awareness towards it.
Of course, cannot really go for a jump out there either. You're going to hurt yourself massively if you managed. And for now, Cyclops just gathering intel, seeing what the opportunity is, seeing what they need to go for. I think Ying will stay out there to toss out the Candelas through the drone hole again to blind anybody that is inside of dining, or a Claymore possibly. That could hurt Coded, actually. If he doesn't pay attention to it, it's a very small line. Oh, it blows up, but didn't get him.
No,
it was scary.
I think the Claymore itself might have been a little bit too far away unless they really tucked themselves close to the drone hole, but still, here comes the pressure. The Candelas over the top. Down one Kia. I think this is the longest they've been able to have all of their players alive, and the pressure's going to start to heat up a little bit now. Gator. He's trying to find some pressure across the top of the stair set, just around that west main swing. You can see Black Gray is stacked up with Suzu C onto Trophy. The break comes across the top. They're pushing and pushing behind it. They still have Rin at the back line around Solarium. They've got the angles across the top. They're not going to be blinded by that. Oh, it's Woogie Man. In fact, the Rooney instead. Rin is obviously removed from the board.
A little bit earlier indeed. Phone calls going off now. Catsing on that spot. They know exactly where he is. Grenades about to be coming down as well, but the Magna will be catching that. They need to isolate that player. They need to go from it from two angles at the same time. Anaton will catch him. 3 on 5, 25 seconds left on that clock. Coded will be catching him though, as he was quite patient in that garage, hoping for the perfect opportunity to find him. Oh, that's going to be the C4 coming through. 9 time though.
That was so almost the worst timing possible. Suzu C is able to get one. The swing and support from Ganorada keeps them alive. Coated. He's looking for the fight, but he does not find it. 3 rounds, 3 Cyclopses, only 3 kills across for Damwon Kia. And this is the nightmare start.
I said it before, how do you prepare for a team like Cyclops? All they will do is just toss nightmares at you. And whilst I might not completely agree with the fact that they are super unpredictable right now, I think they have quite a methodical game style in this game against Damwon Kia so far. They clear out the top floor, they clear out the players very methodically, they use the utility well, and after that they just flood the site once they do have the advantage. So we can only praise them for the way that they're currently playing Siege. I really love the current style of Cyclops that we're seeing. But Damwon Kia, just unable to find a response. Normally they are very sharp. Normally they are very capable of reacting. And that needs to come now as they called that timeout.
It's always that thing. Obviously, it's not just that these rounds have sort of been taken away from them, but as you said, the lack of response, the lack of reaction. They're having those moments where maybe against a team that isn't so happy.
Yes.
To get into these engagements, they might find different results, but the results are as blatant as they are for us all on the screen. This is Cyclops sort of seeing a possibility of taking a site and then taking it regardless of what is in front of them. A break, a time to have a conversation and sort of slow down the unending seeming momentum here. It's Damwon Kia. Can they try and take back to bed?
They'll try at least to find the change that is necessary. I mean, they just had their talk. 3 ADSs on the piano window. They must be very sure of the fact that a lot of utility will be flowing right through that. But a simple Rotero could be taking that all out. And there is definitely going to be one on the board. Anaton will be playing that. If they do figure out where that utility is placed, he will not be like upset about having to send a Rotero that way. Because he might be able to actually get a shield as well if they put it on the piano.
Wow, Solarium was handed over pretty quickly last time. They didn't have a sort of stronghold on the stair set itself. It's a tricky place to play without any ADSs as well. If they're all put elsewhere, it seems like there might be another idea of quick pressure down towards it. There is the player underneath that can try and cause some problems.
And they have the info.
Pings, there's all the ADS, there's the reveal, and that it's a little bit free over there. The Rotero's just going to get rid of the Banshee call on the big double door. That gives themselves an option. The IQ feeding and filtering, as you said.
They see where all those ADSs are right now, and definitely will be getting rid of those at some point. In the meantime, some of the Black Eyes are also being sent out, so at least they know what current information is being gathered by Woogie Man. He's just hiding around. He actually had an opportunity. Spots down, I believe that's a Yokai drone. He's trying to hunt down everything he can. So we're coming under pressure now.
No, it's not. No Echo on the board, and now no player on either side. The Rotero's gone. Woogie Man gone. They've got the loose player underneath. But now can they try and actually put some pressure onto it? The Claymores crisscrossed underneath that window to give themselves some security from the teeny tiny box jump out. But you can see Cyclops, they're sort of weighing up their options once again. They've lost on an engagement, a trade-off. It's the first time this has really happened. You look at the previous times, they've got that opening kill. Since then, it's been a bit of a drive through the spray across the top. Hasn't really caught anybody. Minute 20, and Damwon Kia think, let's hand over the top. They've still got to try and work and break it through. It buys us some time to reformulate our defense on the site itself, waiting, watching wistfully, hoping Coded can get a catch out of the big double window, but otherwise Cyclops there, reimagining themselves.
Fuser dropped on that roof, and now Gedora has picked it up again. Oh, that's a jumper from Katzen. What'd he go? What'd he do?
He went for the jump
He's
out.
been taken out.
Yeah, Iagator was hanging around underneath. He thought he would risk it, I guess, and hope there was a player out on the window, but they weren't. They were tucked down. The IQ still buried underneath, ready for the fight. It's a bit of a mistake and a misplay. It's a gamble, but as we know, no longer allowed on streams, so nothing that we'll have continually shown here. Iagator still pinging all the utility that he can. There's a bit of pressure coming over the top here from the ex-Kairos. They're looking towards the hard wall that they otherwise didn't break last time. The drive through, the flashes and the blinds. It's a bleed up the top of the stairs. 20 seconds now. The fight might swing around into the bathroom. Rin's holding off. It's PJH that suffers next, and Rin leans in. Iagator's trying to hold off the close angle. Where are they trying to get this kit? That's the big question. The smoke over the cover, the pre-fire, the angle, the take onto Coded on the rotation. Gatorada can now try and move in. He's just going to tuck himself behind the hard wall and see if he can get this locked in. Blackray gets the fight through the smoke and the blind. PJH suddenly all that's left in a no versus one. Cyclops, 4 in a row.
And they continue hammering hard onto Damwon Kia there. They might have lost the first engagement with that trade. They're like, okay, this is not something we had before, but they managed to continue on strong. Cyclops realized there was some pressure from the bathroom, realized there was someone in that rotation in the office itself. The complete breach hadn't been made by the Hibana, so what do? You don't waste that time waiting for the next Excaris to pop off. You get that kill onto the rotation, and you instantly start flooding through. That is the site open up. That is the opportunity to go for the plant. It's all or nothing at that moment in time. And as we have a grand total of 4 kills on Damwon Kia, we have those 4 rounds on Cyclops, still being absolutely dominated. And if things, you thought they couldn't get worse, it is the Montaigne that is being brought out by Anaton now. It's truly game over for Damwon Kia. There's no way to coming back from this. The Monty coming out. How are they going to deal with it?
I mean,
no smokes.
To be honest, it's CAG. As we said at the very beginning of this, every single round, they try and bring a fresh face. They try and bring a new bout of pressure. It makes it tricky for teams like what we talked about. The big problem with Damwon Kia seemingly is people learn that game. People learn how they like to play, how they like to stack themselves up. Sure, there's no two ways about it. Benching Yas and bringing in PJH is a major change because of the pressure Yas could put on. But at the same time, it wasn't working. They wanted to try something new, and still it's, unfortunately, against a team like Cyclops, not new enough, who love throwing themselves into these sort of engagements. And Anaton, he has the Monty, has himself in a preferred operator position. He's going to not actually move into red, instead start the drone elsewhere.
Trying to get rid of the Rotero. They will from the fireplace stairs. He's been playing aggressively there. The door now opened up will at least take away some of that pressure. He doesn't feel as safe anymore to go after these Rotero drones if they are sent in. That might be the difference maker here. Meantime, though, Anaton coming up towards the dining. Woogieman is down below, so they need to be a bit careful for him. I think he might have actually gone down for a chase as soon as the multi started entering.
That's it. If Woogieman can play this smart, he can come up right behind them. It really depends if Cyclops have gotten a little bit too confident. Anaton, in the meantime, hasn't actually headed across the fight here. Blackray could be the first victim if Woogieman, again, goes unchecked. A bit more attention to be paid. Woogieman's just going to keep himself at bay because he knows there's very often a quick reaction to the action that might come across. In fact, Soft's off the cover there on the swing on blue. Buys himself a little bit more time.
Wants to stay alive for a late round flank when the plant is going down, so he can use that nitro cell. Instead, doesn't want to go for a flank. He probably doesn't even know that they were there just a second ago. And as he's on his cameras right now, this is what he's looking for. He's using that C4 to get them if they are passing through the fireplace area.
Well, he's playing the position PJH was last time, which we said could have been a bit defining. Just missed the swing on the Jaeger. Cyclops, they haven't really been able to take anything outside of territory. The first fight is scrappy all the way through into the site itself, though. as they take more damage than they give out. Cyclops, they're still trying to knock on the door. There's the danger that might come across it. The pop, the swing, the little dabble dance. It's PJH that finds Ayagator. Katsang loses a little bit on the engagement, but survives the most important part. There's a freebie. Rin caught sleeping the Monty, dropped the shield, didn't hear the audio. Now they can put the pressure on the top, but 30 seconds. They've got to fall down the stairs. Black Grey finally removed on the back of the board. Anaton low health as well. This is the best Damwon have looked in terms of getting a lock-in on a round.
I mean, it's the second kill this round. They haven't been able to do that as of yet, and as they do still have that time going forward, a lot of damage done to Anaton. He's literally on 1 HP as he drops now by Woogieman. A 4v2, 15 seconds, still flanks all about for the side of Damwon. There's no way that this plant will be going down successfully, especially not with SuZaC falling. It is going to be Damwon to find their first round, as they managed to deal well with the Montaigne being brought out and not really being too shook by it.
They take a round. Damwon here, they take one, they can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. If they get two here, there's still so much room for them in this game. A 4-2 for attackers on Chalet is standard as it's expected.
Yes.
It's also a bit of a surprise that they're able to start finding some momentum based on how those early rounds were going, but still, we don't know what the topic of the team talk was. Here is their opportunity to really pull themselves back into this engagement.
At some point, it will surely start clicking on the side of Damwon, and that might have been just that round where everything came together well and they are able to make that difference. I don't know what it is, by the way, but APAC and the Super 90. Boogeyman is now running it as well on the Echo. Not using the MP5 SD, which has built-in suppressor and also a magnifier scope. Might really mean that he's playing on close range, hoping to stay alive long with those Yokai drones, using that shotgun to end any engagement quickly, as it appears.
I mean, it's got its uses.
But we've never really seen that shotgun before.
No.
Unless it was like super high-paced Amaru strats going through a hatch and
it's
being in a close area.
It's a rare treat.
It is.
Who can ever predict what changes in the meta will bring suppressors equal supernova?
Once Hibana starts running the Supernova, that's when I'm no longer in knowledge of what's happening.
PJH takes a little scrap of damage, but pulls himself back. You've seen Black Grey with a spray through here onto Trophy. He's not going to get the full finish on the door until he feels a little bit comfortable, reloaded, and confident. So they're trying to find some pinch pressure on the far opposite side. Anaton's knocking on the top of the Solarium windows. Waiting. Just waiting for a bit of pressure potentially and some support here from Black Grey with the Claymore underneath. They're going once again with this, the Cyclops sort of double strike hand. They make sure that there's another body for pretty much every engagement.
Actually, the pressure is on. Cyclops slowly starting to circle themselves around that top floor. Still some utility they need to get rid of, 2 players as well. Aggressively currently towards the hallway, not really paying too much attention towards Solarium. So if they do manage to rappel in there, and this is the reason why they're out there, because they do see the exothermic going through, they might be in some trouble.
Pull back, Rin. Make sure they don't suffer on the early engagement, but doesn't entirely hand over the territory as of yet. Going to be in a position to try and swing around on anyone that might try and get an approach onto the box and play against this game that otherwise Cyclops have been able to get these surprise strikes. Talking of, Katsang, he's waiting for exactly this, but doesn't quite get the connection that he was after. Leans back in with the DMR to see if he can try and clip a wing of Black Grey, who's creeping towards the fight of Rin. The pressure and the shakes come across the board, just sees the head, but again, another engagement. Rin just pulls back. They're taking it sort of step by step. They're wasting as much of Cyclops' time as possible because they know that the last time they were here, it did come down to a little bit of the wire. Black Grey finally finds the first. Isolates Rin here. They're in a bit of a tricky situation. Can they try and dodge their way out of it?
That's going to be the question, but there is still someone up onto those windows on the backside. Ayagator will find him suddenly. It's going to be the 3-on-5 situation. The C4 will hit back, takes out Anaton. That's the Ash gone, but they need to start rotating further because the site is soon to be under attack. 40 seconds on that clock. Yes, there is still some contention going on from the sides of Damwon. They still have time in their favor, but if KAG starts to hit the site, how can they respond?
Now, over the top, what can you do here, Buck? You want to try and start opening up some angles, but they're concerned about potentially a rotate coming back up to haunt them. 20 seconds, though. And haunting might be the last and the least of their worries. They've got to make sure they have the cover on the plant. Boogeyman can't quite get the connection, but Coated sure does. PGH round on the back end does a huge bit of a swing. It's not even the pickup there on the last bit. Irrigator lost, and Damwar and Kia from the clutches of a round entirely swinging against them. Pull it back with a clever flank.
And this time PGH's flank working out. He was hiding in that basement longer. He was watching the main snowmobile garage door. He's waiting for it because it had been opened up. He's like, someone could be passing through here. And until they start hitting the site, which they had the information of course, with those yokai drones, he's not coming back until the time is right to strike him in the back. And it's exactly what he did. Well done by him. That brings him to 2-4. Salvaged this half. Because after 4 rounds, they only had 4 kills. Now, they've managed to up that slightly. Find themselves with those 2 rounds now. Cyclops onto the defense, looking to make the difference. Now, 2 rounds for them to pick up points, 3 to find the victory. If you are new, welcome, first of all. And you're seeing one of the teams that almost wrote history for APAC. That was Damwon Kia, with a different lineup, though. Slightly. Yas was still on it instead of PGH back then. As they were 1 round, 1 bullet even, away from making it to a grand final in Sweden. Same major that we're working towards right now, but last year. In terms of timing zone. And with that, it is going to be Cyclops, who have played internationally so many times before. And are looking to go aggressive yet again.
Oh, he's trying to get the perfect angle, but I think he knows that another hop there would have maybe been the cost. Rin was pre-firing towards it, and it's not worth your life for that sort of position here. Cyclops, they have a good bit of momentum behind them. Damwon Kia have taken the last 2 rounds, though, and by hook or by crook, they're going to see if they can try and drive that a bit further. The instant ping onto a not hidden Valkyrie camera.
No.
Didn't need the ping, but it's nice. It's nice to have.
It's nice to have,
it's nice
you know.
To have.
Maybe some extra points coming through. Oh, that's going to be a drone taken out. CZC aggressive on the top floor. Black Ray for some support. Oh, that could have been a Doki nade.
That could have been Rin there. The second one gets caught out. Bit of a misplay. The 3 ADSs tucked onto the stairs. There's the reveal. They saw the Valkyrie camera, but they did not see the ADS is the player that was otherwise not to be protected, was not protected from that position. They've got to see if they can try and drive themselves through the fight. Coated with a steady approach here. The Buck wants to go for a bit of engagement, concerned about the swing round. The movement behind the E1D has a moment of time. There's the shotgun, there's a swing from the 9mm, the flash round. Are they going to lean further in? They do. They get the down. There's also a kill against Rin at the same time. The Damwon Kia push didn't quite get the full connection. 2 ends and 2 bodies dropped. Katsang and PGH still on either side. Woogieman can rotate to offer some support, but the 2 bodies that came in both instantly repelled.
And lack of information now means that the rest of Cyclops, Damwon cannot really lean into the fight against Cyclops, who have that control, have a minute 10 left to hold out. And they still need to take top floor control on Damwon Kia, but as Gatorado just swings Katsang as he moves through the door. It's going to be left up to PGH, up on the windows on the back, and Woogieman elsewhere down below on Trophy, just holding, hoping he can catch off a rotation. And yes, there is pings in Anaton, but what are you going to do? Jump in and take the fight on uneven ground?
Oh, Irrigator.
We saw that coming. Did he just sort of drop there?
I did. And they're back in the position of stairs. Boogeyman 40 seconds, no kit. 4 Cyclops players, 10 seconds each. 5 Cyclops players even. Flawless round there from the side. They get themselves locked in. Good spirits, good vibes. First defense though, it's the one that you're sort of expected to win. However, it was just a little bit of that sort of disheartened approach, I think, from the side of DK.
I mean, they attempted it. They wanted to go for some aggression right there, but Cyclops just way more effective, way more accurate with their shots coming through. Finding those first 2 basically takes out every single bit of momentum that Damwon Kia might have had going into that round, into that approach. And now 2-5. So he's trying to find the right little pixel that he can use to get there. There you go. to get the camera in there. I was going to say, it's like he's taking his time, but he got it in there. And as a result, it's going to be a very difficult camera to get rid of because a Twitch drone, which is not on the board currently, is not going to be able to reach that. They need to use an impact, but due to the fact that it's inside a cabinet, if it hits the little balustrades in front of it, probably not going to be destroying it based on the impact damage and propagation. So it needs to be a very precise hit, which you usually do not have time for if you want to quickly dispatch of a camera on side. It's normally just a quick, like, lean in, you shoot and back.
Just a lean.
You don't have the opportunity, like, that won't get it now.
The mirror on the board gives you a little bit of stretch in a sight that's sometimes a little bit locked down. They're putting it on, not the most common sort of locked in place here. They're trying to play this game against the breach and the break. There's obviously the mute jammers. What they're hoping is the hard destruction will get lean against it. They've timed that, a little bit too premature. There's
They
the
thought it got
pullback of
destroyed.
the
They think it got
claw. They
destroyed.
think it got destroyed, but then they've pulled back. More of a flash and a burn. They're not sure where the Kaid is. And the Kaid is going to stay there for now. They've rotated off. They realized the risk was a little bit bigger than they otherwise wanted to play against.
Yeah, you can only toss that once or twice, then it will start opening up that door on you, so you have to fall back at the moment in time. And that's exactly what Antoon is sort of doing right now, still active around the staircase, recovering his electric cloth first, so he can put it in a bit of a safer position where it will not just be shut out if you abandon that first floor control. And as they go on, DWG seems to be going for a bit of a different approach. I think they want to go for a wine cellar instead.
They don't really have another option at this point, and I don't think they've really brought the fight to put through on what they thought would be an easier breach. They've utilized one of their grenades as of this moment in time. They've got the second in pocket. Anaton also still has the other claw, so he's left the first wall and might try and pop it towards this. Gatorada, he's under a lot of fire, and Katsang has the final word there. Took the fight with the fake person instead of the real one, and there's a C4 to get a bit of revenge. That's a little bit dramatic.
It's very flexible.
He's just going to move away from the gymnastics in the doorway.
Coated there, got himself stuck in that door after that explosion, brings it back to a 4-4, still a nitro available on Anaton, so even if they do manage to find themselves a way to... They're waiting to open up that window. Now Rin can also do that if he does decide to go a bit more aggressively. And they're just relocating, you see now?
Both claws.
Both claws in hand now, opening it up. Also tossing down. So now it's going to be unsafe to put your explosive down, your exothermic, so they cannot really go for that wine cellar's approach because there is going to be that hole in the middle of it that they can just use to shoot at you if you try and open it up. And that's the issue when you use the thermite.
Oh, a C4 ready and ripped, ready to go, waiting for that exact fight. The engagement comes against them, 30 seconds, and PJH can now try and put a breach down here on the side of the window. They're waiting for the thermite to drift back, and there's the heavy hitting rifle. The kit's cold on the swing round on red. Woogieman's above the hatch. He's hoping to get a bit of assistance here, but without anything else, Katsang is just going to have to try and get the kit and get home as well. The fight and the slip through onto the cover doesn't quite get the timing into his favor. Pushes deeper and deeper, isn't quite locked in. There it is, popped around the side. The cover against it. The attempt on the pop on the back, but it is a Cyclops round.
Very painful to watch the last couple of seconds there. DWG trying everything they have and throwing everything they have at it to see if they could still salvage it. And unfortunately, not the case. Cyclops, they win their second defensive round. They have a point on the board. You see it at the top right of your screen. For now, first place in the league. Of course, it is only game day 2. There's still 5 more to go after this. But it's DWG.
It's DWG. It's one of the 2 teams that made it out. Last time, you only have 2 teams that make it out. And you always have in this league now 3 perpetual sort of favorites, let alone the underdogs like Reject, who almost made the fight and the journey last split. This is a massive game in the grand scheme of things, especially for Cyclops, who were that sort of FOMO party in the Berlin Major.
Definitely want to go back there. And we said it before, this meta seems to suit them. And so far, they have shown it against DWG, who, of course, have made changes. PGH came in. It's a massive structural change to put in PGH compared to Yas, who has been in for such a long time. They play a similar role, by the way. Both are lurking around. But DWG not really been able to hit the strikes of this game so far.
Oh, Rin I was about to say, hasn't quite been able to have an impact on this game, but taking care of Black-Gray before he can go from 10 to 3 to worse is better. They were obviously playing a hyper-aggressive spot there, whether it's the one that they wanted to play off before. But either way, Cyclops on the back foot very early on from this engagement. DWG, they've been gifted this early lead-in. It wasn't really enough in the previous game we saw earlier today when Talon took out one of their own. They still locked in the round itself. They've got to try and move behind their own success here. The quick break gets rid of one of the Goyos. The Vulcan hot canister taken off the door. And a much sharper approach from DWG towards the site and the engagements.
For sure, some good early start, getting the entry, getting rid of some of that utility. That's something they struggled with in that last round. Of course, a different site will bring different kind of challenges, but you cannot deny that the first minute has been quite good. They have taken quite some control. Now they need to find the rest, though. That top floor, the library, that's going to be the difficult part because there's going to be this many power positions, some shields, ADSs, every single bit of utility that Cyclops has is most likely going to be set up around this top floor.
Katsang gets the width and pre-fires a bit. Another canister. They're really concerned about a bit of an aggressive swing here coming behind it. They're utilizing those quite early before the call of an engagement is actually being made. It's a lot of pre-fire, a lot of swing round, but that is the big connecting dot of this sort of building, this site. It's a big L shape, and you've got to try and crack your way across the core of it. That grenade perfectly played by Rin, their second for the round, and it's a good time for them to start showing up into this engagement. You need a good gunner. That hatch is hard. No way out and no way out. DWG, their guns are for the first real time firing on all cylinders at the same time. Gatarada isn't going anywhere. It looks like the reverse flawless, and it is. DWG, they get another. They've got to get 3 more if they want to see anything out of this game.
They had to send a reply, and they did. And with that, you know, they will at least salvage that one round, but also keep the dream alive of bringing it back to at least get a point, potentially 2 on the board. And this is 3 to 6. There's still a lot to do for DWG. They basically need to be beating Cyclops at any side that is still left in the rotation. And they've already won some of them before. And more importantly, they will start to unlock now, just like Kitchen and Dining will be. And that means they have to have learned from their mistakes. That is a bulletproof placed in a little half-wall garden. It's going to be able to, of course, turn its camera around right now, which will still allow you to get some information out. But because it's placed in such a way, again, an explosive, the only real thing you can use to get rid of it.
It's the sort of interesting use of those cameras that once upon a time very static.
Yeah. And now they carry an EMP dart that will recharge.
Now you can put it in a plant.
Put it in a plant. Put it in a cabinet.
Put it in a box.
Put it in a box if you want to. I mean, just be creative with it. You can place
Do what
it in
you
some
want.
places.
Do what you want with your bulletproof cameras.
Exactly.
Cyclops. I mean, you can sort of keep doing what you want so far. Gator has the chance of huge plays and rotates. You always talk about the excitement that Oryx can offer. Doesn't often deliver, but there's an excitement there. There's a chance and an opportunity. It all depends on how much attention DWG is paying towards it. I did like the pacey approach to the previous round. As I said before, they were sort of angling up pressure onto the site quite early on. They had themselves stacked in. It was this. I would say it once again, the double-checking of everything, no falling victim to this, as they did last time. You talked about lessons learned. There's a big one. They burnt grenades on that specific utility.
Taking out more as well. Default cam has been taken out now. They are well aware of what's happening, but the Valkyrie camera is still out there. And that might be what they're looking for, but it's placed up high and above in a situation that isn't being reached right now from the wind, the repel. And that means if they do start to repel in, they definitely have the information and the ID of where they're coming from.
Still free to get a little bit further. Coated. They seem to know where you are. And he's just going to pre-fire before he feels like he might get run out on from underneath. It's a very fair option, as we did see that happen as the sort of end goal of the previous game for their flawless the last time they were here. The burn wasn't successful. Now they've been able to get inside. Coated's looking for the engagement. There's more of a pop. Black-Gray might be the first fight. It's going to come down to this, the swing round, and they win it out. The shotgun doesn't quite get the second connection, but Rin wins their fight, and Gatarada has a very quick response. Rin survives. PJH inside. This is slightly technically better than it was last time for DWG, but they're still on the back foot. At least they're internal, and at least they got a kill.
Yes, but they still need to be going down one floor, because it is that kitchen and dining. This does give them the opportunity to play vertically, though. But if you look at the operators left, Twitch, Lion, and Yana, there's no verticality available except for the DMR that Woogieman is carrying to maybe open up some angles, but it's going to be taking so much time. It's not going to be super reliable, so they will just have to go for horizontal takes instead.
Well, can they try and break their way here across Trophy Gatorado? With a bit of a rotate, they still have the man advantage. They can set themselves up for this. The potential final engagement. There's Gator underneath as well. Always a bit of a wild card and loose play. The E1D echoes out. Woogieman's moving underneath to find this fight, but he loses it out. 2 versus 4, and both of them now are a little bit trapped. So they've just got to try and take themselves into the site itself. We're in further than maybe they thought, but there's a close body to the right. Do they know? They seemingly do, but Anaton's just able to pop it out there. PGH, the new pickup. Well, in terms of in the board, but not on the board. Cyclops, they take the full 3 points in a very impressive attacking day display.
A very confident and well-deserved victory there for Cyclops. They completely overwhelmed and dominated Damwon Kia in the first 4 rounds before they finally managed to fight back. And on the defense as well, able to just make sure that never really an attack managed to materialize on the side of Damwon Kia. And it'll bring them 3 points. But really, as we said before, it's a 6-point game because only 2 teams will be making it to the major at the end of November. And, you know, taking this win could be a massive step towards it.
And that's it. We may have just seen potentially a deciding game for the last Playday quite early on, but that's not for us to decide. We'll take a quick break before we're back with the desk to break it down.